Hello, Stephan here with Liquidity with the many different ways on how to translate the English word you into German.
Liquidity.
Most of the time when speakers of English use the word you, they are using it as the second person pronoun, as in addressing someone, as in talking to someone, in both the singular and the plural. So in English, it can be used for addressing one person. It can be used for addressing several people. Also in English, there is no difference between whether I am talking to somebody in a formal or in an informal way. In German, we do have those distinctions. So first of all, let's talk about the informal way of talking to somebody in German. So if I'm on a first name basis, if I'm talking to somebody in an informal way, in German, if I know somebody well enough and I feel comfortable around them, they feel comfortable around me, and we are on a informal basis, then in the singular, if I'm just talking to one person, I would use the German word du. English used to have that pronoun actually, thou, and then we also have a plural for informally talking to several people, and that would be ihr. In English, we have equivalents for that in colloquial speech. For instance, in the United States, in the South, people would say y'all, or in the Pittsburgh region where I live, some people say yens, which is actually a form of you once, so that would be a plural. In some parts of the United States, people would also say yous, so you just put an S at the end. So there are some informal plural use, but officially we just have you for both singular and plural. In English, we don't really make a distinction between informal and formal. So if I wanted to be formal in English, I might say you sir, you ma'am, which is a little bit old-fashioned, and it also depends a little bit on what region of the English-speaking world you're in. But that's sort of the equivalent. So in German, we have the pronoun sie, and it's always capitalized. So that's one way to tell it apart from the other two pronouns in German, which is sie, because sie can also be she. It can also mean they. So that one is a little bit confusing. If it's capitalized, it is you formal for both singular and plural. So I can say you ma'am, you sir, or you ladies and gentlemen. That would be capitalized sie. You can also be used in a very general way. It can be a general pronoun, as in you never know. German has several ways of expressing that. The most common one would be the little word Mann. And this word actually has its origin in the German word for man. It's actually spelled like the English word for man, right? Der Mann means man, but Mann, the one that's spelled just like the English word, means as much as one. It has its origin in the German word for Mann, so it's a little bit sexist. A lot of times people feel uncomfortable using it because in this day and age, it is considered sexist to use that for just anyone. So if I'm referring to women, I can also use the word Frau, lowercase, right? Which is spelled just like the German word for woman, but lowercase. So if I spell Frau lowercase, I'm using that as a general you or as a general one pronoun. Some people also have suggested to use lowercase Mensch. Der Mensch is the German word for human being, but that also has its origin originally in the masculine, so in the word for man, really. So that also is a little bit problematic. So in German, if you want to use the general you, a safer way would be actually to say die Leute, people. Die Menschen, again, we have maybe a problem here because that's originally masculine too, although I don't think it's a big deal, honestly. A lot of people still use that and don't really think of it as a strictly masculine way of referring to people. Sometimes you also will read people using der Mensch to stand in for any kind of human being, sort of as English sometimes uses man. And then man invented fire, that sort of use of man, right? Which is also sexist language. It's not something I would say, not something I would use or would recommend anybody else using. There are better ways. In English, we can say human being, right? Or humans, which is a little bit safer. So another way in German to avoid those pitfalls and to use a general you to just refer to a general anybody is to use yourself as an example. So for instance, I could say, wenn ich müde bin, mach ich ein Nickerchen. When I'm tired, I'm taking a nap. Anyways, so yes, so be careful with you in German when you translate that into German, or when you see du, ihr, sie with a capital S, or general you being used by Mann, Frau, Mensch, die Leute, or people are specific about what people they're referring to. Sometimes that translates back into English as you, possibly, or as one or anyone. So English and German don't always neatly translate into each other. So be careful with that. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful and useful. If you did enjoy it, please give it a like and consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't done so already. Danke fürs Zuschauen. Thanks for watching.